Welcome back, and a special welcome to our next guest. His name is Bill Marshall. He is a senior investigator at an absolutely indispensable organization, Judicial Watch. He brings a lot of experience in both the public sector and private in investigating matters great and small. And we wanted to talk with him about some of the work that he's doing and his organization is at the moment that requires our attention. One, and I think it's a little bit bizarre, frankly, but you've covered it handsomely, Bill, is the attacks that have been taking place. I guess there's been a cessation with the displacement of the perpetrator, but the Biden family dog apparently had a taste for Secret Service personnel and was not terribly restrained by his owners in going after them. Tell us a little bit about what on earth that was all about and why corrective action wasn't taken immediately.
Right. Well, thank you for having me back, Frank. It is one of the more bizarre stories at a national political level that I've worked on in my almost 9 years at Judicial Watch. Um, the Bidens had a dog, a German Shepherd named Major, who from their first day, virtually their first day or their first day at the White House, had been uh, a direct threat to everyone around him, all the people, including the Secret Service agents. I had actually sent two FOIA requests in the past couple of years about Major Biden, the dog, when there were some initial reports that he had supposedly nipped. I think was maybe the phrase that Jen Psaki used, one agent or something like this. So I was curious about that. So I sent a FOIA request initially asking for records about the dog bites, and we got an initial production of 36 pages, which we published last year,
Wow.
which were interesting in that they revealed that the dog had actually attacked numerous Secret Service agents. And then I filed a subsequent request, a broader request for more records about the dog bites and communications among Secret Service agents, and that produced 400 pages of records.
My Lord.
And what I learned, and I can tell you, this is again very a bizarre case from a FOIA standpoint. Maybe I also asked for the dog's vaccination records. By the way, I never got those, but of course the Bidens had two dogs. They had an older German Shepherd named Champ, who has sadly passed away last year, and then this young German Shepherd Major. Now, bear in mind, I'm a dog lover. I own two big dogs myself. I've owned dogs all my life, including German Shepherds. This dog, I want to say, was almost a psychopath, and I don't like never like to blame a dog for its behavior. Ultimately, it's the owners, it's the
Yes.
training that the dog receives that that are responsible for the dog's behavior. This dog was so unpredictable and so vicious and aggressive towards Secret Service agents, both uniform division and plainclothes division. Uh, Employees, civilian employees of the White House, and guests that were visiting the White House. I also heard
Oh, my
uh,
Lord.
through my network that he had attacked a non Secret Service law enforcement uh, official. Now, I will say that the records we got in the second production were stunning. Okay,
Mm.
in terms of the severity of the attacks that these agents, primarily agents, suffered, and the actions that the agents had to take. They actually had to seek shelter from the dog when it was charging them at times. Some agents, this is a phrase that was used, sought shelter.
Wow.
Now,
Bill, we're going to run out of time, and I've got other things I want to talk to you about, but I just want to make the case here that what was done by this dog to people who have been willing to sacrifice their lives to protect the first family. And there wasn't corrective action taken, as I said, immediately, is just reprehensible in the extreme and speaks to me, at least, of an attitude towards these dedicated law enforcement personnel that's pretty contemptible. on the
Eh,
part of Biden and his family. And it raises another question, and I don't think we'll be able to get into it with you today. But the Secret Service has also had some problems, it seems, with penetration of its ranks by some foreign operatives, at least as best we can tell, seemingly with ties to Iran. That's a topic for another day. But Bill, I just want to say what Judicial Watch does, and you personally, especially with these Freedom of Information Act requests, is bring to light stories about what is going on inside our government. The public has, I think, a right to know about, and it helps in this case particularly calibrate on the character of Joe Biden himself, I guess, and certainly his family more broadly. Um, a topic to which, again, we'll return with you. I did want to hit two other issues, though. Speaking of the Biden family, you've done some filings of Freedom of Information Act requests with respect to Hunter Biden, um, the wayward son, I guess it's fair to say, of the president. Talk a little bit about what you're going after in terms of production of information that has not yet come to light, thanks to his laptop, notably.
right. I mean, Hunter Biden is almost a godsend, okay, to the American public, okay, in a sort of a backhanded way. He represents, I think, a window into the venality and the corruption and the depravity of the entire Biden family, in
Yes.
my humble opinion. Okay, uh, I've been working on Hunter Biden records as my terrific colleague Sean Dungan has for years. I had gotten records about his travel, his while he was under Secret Service protection to 300 or 400 plus countries, while his father was vice president, and of course we know that he went to China with his father when he inked a huge deal. I think it was a $1.5 billion deal with the Chinese. Okay,
Right.
and my colleague Sean he was particularly focused on Hunter's dealings in Ukraine with when, as you'll recall, Hunter was on the board of Burisma Holdings,
Hmm.
which is his oil and this natural gas company, and very corrupt. I mean, this is the State Department's own words, a corrupt organization run by, I believe it's run by a guy named Zlochevsky, a billionaire, and
An oligarch, as they
an
say.
oligarch, yes, and the Ukrainian prosecutor general was, of course, looking at this company. And you'll recall when Biden was vice president that he famously was on video bragging about how he threatened to withhold $1 billion in U.S. funding or U.S. aid from the Ukrainian government if they did not fire the prosecutor that was looking into Burisma and his son, actually Hunter, because Hunter was on the board of Burisma. I mean, it was, as I think Rudy Giuliani called it. I'm paraphrasing, but he said it was the most concise confession to public corruption that he had ever seen by a political figure. Joe Biden's statement in that talk he gave. So my colleague Sean filed was a request for all State Department emails and cables referencing Hunter Biden, because again, the State Department, our George Kent, who was the deputy chief of mission
Ukraine.
under the Obama administration for Ukraine, had emailed his boss, Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch, um, warning her that the Ukrainian he'd been tipped off by the Ukrainian prosecutor general that a company called Blue Star Strategies, a Democratic PR company lobbying firm in D.C., had approached them in 2016. That is, had approached the Ukrainian prosecutor general, offering to connect him to the Clinton campaign. This was during 2016, the Hillary presidential campaign. So this got back to George Kent, who notified Marie Yovanovitch. George Kent then said to the Ukrainian prosecutor general, steer clear of that because they were also representing Burisma, and Burisma is corrupt. And by the way, the Clinton Foundation is corrupt. So
Wow.
you don't want to be associated with that, right? So
This is a senior Foreign Service officer talking about the former Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. And boy, that's a priceless gem. Um, One of the things that I think we're finding out as we learn more about what's in this laptop is it, of course, was not just Ukraine. that was a source of this venality or corruption, or however you want to characterize it, compromise of the Biden family, including the big guy. It was, as you've mentioned, communist China. It was also Russia as well. And I guess just to quickly wrap this up, because we're almost out of time, Bill Marshall, looking at this evidence that you and others have compiled, is there any question in your mind that Joe Biden personally, as well as through his various family members, has in fact been compromised by multiple hostile powers, and that that's a security problem for the United States as well?
Frank, you and I both worked in the federal government, and we held uh, very high clearances. We know that if we had done anything approaching what the Biden family has done, Joe Biden has done as a public official, we'd be sitting in Leavenworth for decades. Okay,
Right.
this man is now, of course, Tony Bobolinsky, who's um, Hunter Biden's former business
Former
partner,
partner. Yeah.
has said that, in various communications where they were talking about divvying up equity in certain deals, that 10% would be held for the big guy by Hunter Biden. And Tony Bobolinsky has said that the big guy was Joe Biden. Tony
It's Joe Biden.
Bobolinsky had met with Joe Biden. I mean,
No,
this is
no doubt about it. He's, I believe, guilty as he should be charged. Bill, we have to leave it at that. This work on the Biden team, more generally by Judicial Watch, is invaluable. Keep it up. Come back to us with updates if you would.